Hey YouTube, it's Cupid. I wanted to give you guys, well, basically an explanation for why I just haven't been playing Yu-Gi-Oh lately and where Yu-Gi-Oh went. So, let me preface this video with a generalized statement. I am not by any means quitting Yu-Gi-Oh. This is not a clickbait title to get Farfa to watch me, to get Farfa to watch me, make this video or any of that stuff. This is just me genuinely telling my community, hey, this is why I'm not doing Yu-Gi-Oh right now. You can take from this what you will. I am fully aware of whatever repercussions may arise as a result of this. That being said, Farfa, if you do end up watching this, if your community comes and bothers me, I don't know, I'll just be mildly disappointed, I guess. But I do want to preface this with that. Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, right? Comes out in January. Very cool stuff, right? I didn't play it until March of that year, where I, through Distant Coder being in my YouTube recommendations, rediscovered, hey, you know what? Yu-Gi-Oh's a thing that exists. I have played Yu-Gi-Oh! In a competitive aspect since 2014. 10 years of my life. I am 27 now. So, well, not 27 yet, but I will be 27 very soon. And yeah, I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Since I was in high school, right? At a competitive level. I've been going to locals, all of that good stuff, right? So let me preface, hey, you know what, this is not a guy who's just bad at the game, complaining, oh, wow, meta too powerful. No, that's not what this is. Let me make it clear right now, not what this is even slightly. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of the video. Why did I quit? Well, there's a few reasons. Step one, the community of, people that I would typically get. So it all started in March, right? I discover, hey, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel is a free online simulator, and I am a VTuber, and I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh! All the time, right? So I pick up Master Duel, start streaming it, play DDD at the time, and Skull Servants, because, that grass screener was legal at 3, and, well, I mean, I've always had a thing for Grass Skull Serpents, because that's the first deck I ever built in max rarity in the actual TCG. Very cool, right? So I play for a while, I play for roughly like 2 months, and I'm doing primarily viewer duels, right? And all of that's been, fun, and all of that was fun and dandy, right? Up until I started realizing things. Now, these are only a few cases of what I would get, but, I'll give a few examples of the sort of person I would get from my viewer duels. The first one, player joins the stream, the queue's already closed. I'm getting ready to end the stream. But you know what? New player, I'll be nice. Not new player, new viewer, I'll be nice. I'll go out of my way to play, right? So, guy Max sees me, which, is fine. Who cares, right? Part of the game. I make a bad board, with, very little to no special summoning, because, I don't want to play into Max C. Very fine. I put up, like, I think it was just like it was like one negate, and it wasn't even an Omni negate, it was like a monster negate. Very bad board. I special summoned like twice to get to it or something. I don't even remember the full details of the duel itself. But, I basically pass turn. Guy goes Lightning Storm, normal Overraptor, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm dead. And I was just gonna end the stream anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead, just scoop this up and move on with my day. Which is something that a normal person is completely allowed to do. Just scoop the game. You don't have to deal with these fuckheads, right? Now, tragically for me, this fuckhead decided to, in my chat, complain that I conceded the game by saying, your whole duel room is pointless, you're a terrible streamer, and what I realized post-tense was that this guy also streamed, but I'm pretty sure he was jealous that I had more viewers than him. But anyway, people behaving like that is not a good look for the community, right? Now, before you guys are like, oh yeah, this streamer just got one guide, you know? Wow, he gets one guide. No, that's not really the case because, you know, when you go out of your way to do something nice for someone and they return that to you, it's not a good look, for sure. Also, in addition to this, when your chat is only like 10 people, you know, 10% of your chat being like that isn't exactly a good feeling. Okay, so there's that. Now, this one happened more than twice, but, you know, I'm only going to give two specific examples. Once, well, death threat. Well, let me just... yeah, death threats. Basically, it's happened more than one time by different people, in my chat, that people would, like, lose a duel in, like, a duel room, and they'd threaten another chat member. One of which I told, hey, dude, calm down, relax, it's not that serious, it's just a card game. And then he did not calm down, so I promptly banned him. This guy then decided to proceed into my DMs, to do things along the lines of insulting my mother, you know, telling me, you know, oh yes, this community is soft, and I'm just like, dude, what? Relax. And I pulled it up on stream, guy got reported, and so on, right? You know, it was very funny content when it happened, because we absolutely, you know, made fun of the guy. But behavior like that is very fucking cringe. Don't be like that. Another one we've gotten was a guy threatened, hey, he lost a duel, right? And he's like, I don't even remember what the context was, but essentially the guy devolves into, hey, you know, the way you're talking is how I, you know, find you in real life. And to which I promptly banned the guy, right? This guy, his response after getting banned was to DM me as well, asking to be unbanned for the next 7 months. He was in my DMs for 7 months asking to be unbanned after threatening a chat member. Is this normal in Yu-Gi-Oh? Because this has happened more than once. I don't know. It's not a good look. It's definitely not a good look. So, you know, after that I stopped doing viewer duels, right? Sure, community, channel doesn't grow as much when you're not doing viewer duels, but, like, numbers-wise, I've never really cared all that often, right? So, you know, I stopped doing viewer duels. My content becomes primarily, like, doing duel rooms and, you know, hosting tournaments, which is something I did frequently. You know, I'd hold Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments for my chat all the time. All sorts of creative and fun formats. In fact, one of them, called The Cupid, I know, very creative name, chat named it. Yeah, The Cupid was, like, I mean, kind of a ripoff of something Farfa does, I suppose, where chat makes the ban list. Essentially, everyone who participates in the tournament, depending on how well you do in your groups, because I split people into groups, and each group would do a round robin, right? Depending on how well you did in your groups, you'd either get bans, limits, or so on, right? And yeah, that was a very fun tournament. So fun, in fact, that 2 months later, after my hiatus has started, people are still asking me to bring it back. Yeah, well, sure, it was fun for a while, and the tournaments did great. You know, they were a great time, right? But I don't know. You would get some dumb people who would show up to these tournaments. I would constantly remind chat, hey, these tournaments are round robins. Don't leave after the first round. You've still got to play the rest of your games, right? You know, hey, we go best of 3. We play by the actual Konami TCG timers, right? All of that good stuff, right? You would tell these people this constantly, and I would even go as far as putting the room code on the screen. And the amount of people who would show up in chat, where is the room code? Can I join today's tournament? And then they join, and they lose 1 round, and they leave without a word. They just leave the stream. The amount of times that it happened over, like, a nearly 20-week span of me running this tournament was more than 20. In fact, in the last 6 weeks of me running it, it happened 12 times. Uh, and that's not just asking where the room code is. I'm talking about the leaving thing. It got to a point where I just decided, you know what? I'm gonna just start banning people who do this. I'm gonna just start banning them. Fuck them. They can't come back. You know, you wanted to enter in the tournament and you didn't want to stay for the tournament, so like, why would I keep you around? Why'd you enter the tournament and just not pay attention to the rules? It's simple, you know? In the actual Yu-Gi-Oh, let's say, you know, you show up, like you go to a regional or something, you break 5 rules, and then you leave without a word. Well, obviously you get disqualified from the tournament, but after some point they're gonna start banning you, right? So I've done the same with my stream. And well, I feel like that was a great choice, you know? It definitely cut down on it, but it started getting very, very draining. And much like with viewer duels, it stopped being fun after enough of that happened. So I just cut it out, and at that point I had no further reason to stream Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, I never found ranked exciting. I feel like there's no individuality in it. And, like, you know, it's just not great, you know? So all of these things led to me sort of just not streaming Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore. But there is something else I want to address, because I have more problems. So, I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole very heavily lacks in individuality between, you know, play and player, right? What I mean by this is I feel like there are a lot of cards that are grotesquely, you know, overrepresented. And I will cover this shortly. And I also do think that, you know, the format and how Konami runs things is not very good, and I'll cover this first. So, I think Best of 1 is terrible. I think it's like the worst thing that could happen to Yu-Gi-Oh! This is coming from the TCG player perspective. I do think Best of 3 is significantly better, even with Konami's horrible time rules. And also, you know, side decking. You know, side decking is great, you know? But, tragically, Master Duel is not designed for that. It's designed to be a mobile game, which you can play on your phone in class in high school, which is something that I've actually caught a student doing before. I have, as a high school teacher, caught a student opening Master Duel packs in class. Fun fact. That being said, you know, I didn't discuss with him at all because I do not want, you know, any sort of potential people finding out that I am a VTuber in real life. But, you know, this is something that I've seen done, you know? Master Duel is a phone game. And as a result, I feel like it takes away from the competitive aspect of Yu-Gi-Oh! Dramatically. Now you're relying a lot more on that first coin flip, because if you don't go first, and you're not playing a deck that's equipped to go second, and you are playing a deck that's equipped to go second, but you don't open enough cards to go second, you just get cooked by Snake Eye after it puts up 17 interruptions. 17's a bit of an exaggeration, but, you know, 7 is completely normal to say. That's more interruptions than you have cards, so think about that for a second. And Snake Eye can put up a lot more than 7, believe me. Yeah, I don't know, that just takes away from the fun of the game, you know? Oh, I lost the coin flip. Oh, I didn't open Max C. Oh, my opponent, you know, opened Called By for my one-hand trap. GG's. Very cool, right? Now, a lot of people would say, in response to that, cry about it, skill issue, etc., right? But that's not a good mentality to have. I feel like every game should have some variety of counterplay in order to be, you know, enjoyable. This is part of why, you know, I have found myself enjoying things like chess or Hearthstone Battlegrounds a lot better. Raren was right all along. Anyway. So going back to, my topic of Yu-Gi-Oh! Kinda just lacks individuality, right? I'm going to pull up some statistics for you all to observe. So, as you can see here, this is the Master Duel Meta tier list page, right? Currently, Snake Eye sits at number 1 with 37 power out of 100, I think. I'm not exactly sure how the power scaling works. But if you look closely, you see that the second best deck, Rescue Ace, is at 12, which is just barely scraping into tier 1. Now, a lot of people would look at this and be like, wow, this is a very diverse format. There's 5 meta decks. Except for the fact that, no. No, a lot of people would not call something like Labyrinth meta right now. A lot of people wouldn't really say Branded is meta right now. So realistically, this meta tier list, quote unquote, is more like three decks. Because, if you want to go off of tier 3 decks being meta, if you go back in time to when tier was Master Duel full power, meaning, it just came out, it was April of 2023, when tier sat at 56.3 power, the next best deck was Adamancipator at 5 power. So the fact that Branded is the third best deck at 4 should tell you kind of how polarized this meta is right now. And if you don't believe what I just said, there is a clip, I think it's a YouTube short of it maybe, that exists on my channel. It exists. On Twitch, at least. I don't know if I ever uploaded it to YouTube, but, yeah. And Snake Eye is at 37, and the second best deck, Rescue Ace, is at 12, which means, mathematically speaking, 37 is over 3 times stronger than Rescue Ace. So if you're not playing Snake Eyes, are you winning? On average, the answer to that is no, unless you're playing a bunch of anti-Snake Eyes cards, which is pretty ass, considering you have to build your deck to counter this deck, or you're just going to be at a disadvantage. And sure, power creep exists in card games. That happens. Hearthstone's no stranger to power creep, right? But just the fact that you have to rely on opening anti-cards for a specific deck in order to have a chance against it is just not good. And that on top of the fact that you also have to win the coin flip against it is pretty ass. And there's so many variables in Yu-Gi-Oh! That I just don't find skillful. Now, going to what I said about the lack of individuality. Let's have a quick look at some usage rates. So, as you can see here, Max C is the number 1 most used card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel at 94.6% usage. This means that, on average, and this is a little bit rounded, but in every 20 decks, 19 of them feature the card Max C. After that, you have Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 87.8, so roughly, 7 out of 8 decks playing Max C. Called by the Grave, 76%, so, yeah. SP Little Knight, new card, came out after I stopped playing, yeah, after the hiatus. I know how good this card is, I play the TCG, don't worry. 67%, pretty high. Imperm 63.2, and then you have Crossout at 57.8, and then Nibiru at 57, and so on, right? Now, you may be looking at these cards and thinking, oh yeah, these are all staple cards. It's perfectly normal to have a staple card have a high usage rate, right? Well, I'd like to compare these staple cards to staple cards of other TCGs, so you guys can see exactly how fucked up Yu-Gi-Oh! Is. So you see how Max C is the most used card at basically 95% usage rate? Well, here's the most used card in the Pokemon TCG, Super Rod, in 60%, rounding up, of decks. On average, you play 1 or 2 copies, usually 2. That's why you have an average of 1.8 here. In Pokemon, you can play 4 copies of a card. Okay, so, yeah, 35% more. So for scale of how much 35% more looks like, right now, Promethean Princess is only in 35% of decks. This is including every deck that features a Snake Eyes card. This is including every fire deck. This is including even decks that wants to make Promethean because, you know, they can. That is pretty obscene. You know, that's a very high rate of, you know, difference. And that's just the difference between Max C and the most played card in TCG, in Pokemon TCG, right? Second most played card, Buddy Buddy Poffin at 49%. Second most played card in Master Duel, 87%, Ash Blossom. You don't get to 49% until you get to, like, the 8th most used card, which is IP Masquerena, which is in 47.5, which is just barely lower than the second most used card in Pokemon TCG. We have an absolutely busted card in Boss's Orders, Getsus, and this card features in 44% of decks. This card's nuts. This card is genuinely nuts. I've played enough of the Pokemon TCG to know how strong this card is. This card can win games by itself. And it's in 44% of decks. And these are the staple cards of Pokemon TCG, by the way. These are the staples. Switch? Interesting. Yeah, these are the staples. So, Max C being in 95% compared to, you know, the powerful staple cards and other, like, all of these cards are staple cards. Every single card here is a staple card, right? And it takes, you don't see a non-quote-unquote staple card until you get to, like, here, Iron Hands EX, which is in 9% of decks, okay? Okay, so, like, look at the obscene disparity of just, like, here's how different, you know, the usage rate of these cards is. And that's what I'm saying. There's no individuality, right? You know, you don't get to a non-staple card until Diabell Star, which is technically still a quote-unquote package, which is still quote-unquote a staple, right? Once you get down to, like, I don't know, King Sarcophagus, right? Or Bonfire, you know? Even then, I'd argue Bonfire is a staple card. King Sarcophagus, 24, right? Imesti, 24, and so on and so on. Like, all of these staple cards are so grotesquely more used than, you know, anything Pokemon has. Let's move on to it. Let's compare to another, you know, TCG. Maybe Pokemon is just very diverse, right? Maybe Pokemon's just extremely diverse, and even the staple cards in Pokemon are diverse, right? Well, I mean, let's go over to Hearthstone, right? Where, if you look, the most used card in Hearthstone, by far, is 45%, Zilliax Deluxe 3000, which is a very strong card. It's one of the most powerful cards in Hearthstone history, in my opinion at least. And, you know, it wins 64% of the, well, 63.1% of the games that, you know, the deck plays, right? So, you know, that's a very high usage rate, right? 45%. Until you look at Yu-Gi-Oh! And then you're like, oh, what the fuck? This thing's barely even played. You know, people are playing Effect Failure as often as they are playing the best card in Hearthstone. Huh. Yeah. I don't know. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a very diverse game with you know, with definitely a bunch of diversity. Yeah, no, I just, there's no comparison. This is not normal. And I have decided, in my experience, you know, I'm tired of playing against Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel Snake Eyes bot number 586. You know? I'm tired of it. And, yeah, I don't know. One final thing I would like to cover is the ban list itself. So, historically, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, right? The ban lists, and on average, you know, a normal Yu-Gi-Oh! Player would agree with me. Every ban list that Master Duel drops has been complete dog shit. And I'm going to be honest, the reason for it is because they don't want to hit the decks that are problematic while they are still making money off of them. For example, Snake Eyes. Oh no, they limited Snake Eye Ash to 1 and wanted to 1. Surely this will hurt the deck. No, now we just play, 15 ways to search Ash, like Brandon did. Oh, by the way, Brandon's still 3rd best deck in the game, apparently, after Branded Fusion limited to 1. It's almost like these ban lists aren't really accomplishing that much, right? And one final thing I want to point out. Okay. This is going to sound like a broke boy complaining, but that's not what it is. I've never really spent money on Master Duel outside of one time I spent money to build Eldritch as an April Fool's joke. It was the first year Master Duel was out, and Eldritch was quote-unquote the most hated deck of the time. So I built Eldritch, and I was like an Eldritch player now, and that was the April Fool's joke, right? But before I get too sidetracked, Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel has been historically getting more and more expensive. The average deck that comes out features 4 or 5 UR cards that are essential 3-ofs in the deck. If you go back and look at like Drytron, for example, you only needed like 4 or 5 URs maybe total outside of the staples, right? Well, tragically now, on top of the staples, the important 2 or 3-ofs of your deck are, UR, wow, you get what I'm saying, right? And Konami's doing this intentionally. It's just up to us to see if we are going to let this happen or not. Let's look at the usage rates of these cards. Oh wait, hold on. Let me go back to the screen. Okay, so we have UR, right? Let's look at the important cards in each deck, right? The Bellstar, UR, wow, Sinful Wanted, UR, Sinful Spoiled Snake Eye, Wanted, UR, Poplar, UR, Bonfire, UR, King Sarcophagus, UR, Flamberge, UR. Snake Eye Ash is the only one they keep hitting because it's not a UR. I mean, Wanted, I guess, is fair. They want to hit the package, sure. But, like, out of the actual Snake Eyes cards, they're only hitting Ash. Think about that for a second. Why are they doing that? Okay, let's go a little further back, right? Wraithsoft, right? Released it 1 copy, that's not the problem. The problem's not the ban list in this case, right? Unicorn, Fenrir, and so on. Cash Theosis, which is not up here, and yeah, I don't know, they just keep releasing these cards at expensive prices because they want you to spend money on the game. How dare they, right? How dare a company try to get you to spend money? Well, I mean, when you're releasing with obvious power creep, I feel like, it's kind of toxic to your players in the long term. Hey, this is getting more and more expensive, it's getting harder and harder to build the new decks. How am I supposed to continue to find enjoyment from the game? These are questions that you really should be asking. And I have found the answers to all of these questions for myself to be kind of not, King Sarcophagus, Mesty, Hoppy, and so on and so on. All of these, and these are the most used cards in the game. Like, here, look closely. Max C, Actually, you know what? I'm going to just look at this. Every card in the first 2 rows, except for Hita, is a UR. And these are the most used cards in the game. This is so obviously a cash grab to me. That, like... And you're probably wondering, oh yeah, of course they're going to make the strongest cards the highest rarity in order to, keep the game balanced and so on. It's like, why do you need that? Why not make the cards accessible to everybody? EDO Pro is better than Master Duel. Don't at me. Anyway. I think that just about covers my grievances with Yu-Gi-Oh at the moment. Except for one final thing that I would like to discuss: ban lists. I mean, they obviously just refuse to hit cards that are like genuinely problematic. For example, Block Dragon. You know, Block Dragon on Master Duel's release came out at 3 copies, right? They limited it to 1. Adamantipator was still good all the way up until they banned Block Dragon 18 months later. And I'm saying this as someone who played Adamantipator. And even without it, it's still playable. But, you know, Block Dragon, being the glue that held everything together, was very, very nice. Why did it take them 18 months to ban it? Because they were releasing Super Heavy Samurai. And, you know, they banned that and also, I think, an FTK enabler. And, you know, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community just came up with another FTK enabler that they just aren't... As far as I'm aware, they've hit since, but, like, I don't know. If they're gonna try and stop the FTK, why not just, you know, ban the cards that cause the FTK? Or, you know, ban the enabler cards like Wakawashi, because, you know, that card is pretty broken, right? 1 card combo that does, you know, whatever you can imagine. It's typically pretty strong in Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, it's because Wakawashi is a UR and they're still making money off of it. And, yeah, I feel like that's genuinely the case with a lot of the cards. And, I mean, sure, Super Heavy Samurai, right? Not even meta anymore. Of course, right? Who cares? I'm just saying, like, it was never hit, you know? They never really tried to. And I feel like a lot of the reason Super Heavy kind of flopped in Master Duel compared to, you know, what it did in the TCG, where it needed an emergency ban list. Well, actually, was it even an emergency ban list? I don't remember. It's been a while. Is because Max C is legal. And, you know, Max C is a very, very strong card, and also people were main decking multiple copies of Droll, just for the deck in that format. So when people are, you know, playing anti-deck, surprisingly, the deck doesn't really perform as well, right? But there are still some decks that, even when you're playing anti-deck, still do quite well. Okay, so, yeah. In addition to this, you know, all sorts of problem cards are legal that should not be legal. Another example of this one for me is Sprite Elf. I think Merly did nothing wrong. Bring back Merly. Ban Sprite Elf already. Look, it's banned in both the TCG and the OCG. Look, you can literally see it right here on display for all to see. Sprite Elf legal in Master Duel in a format where SP Little Knight is allowed. Banned in both formats of the actual card game. Because Master Duel is just like the Konami devs being like, yeah, we're gonna do whatever the fuck we want and see if it works out, you know? And it's just not. It feels so toxic, in my opinion, you know? So, yeah. Back to the other scene. I want to end this video off with a very clear statement. I don't hate Yu-Gi-Oh! In fact, I still enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! Very much. It's been a while since I've been able to attend a local just because I've been so busy, but, like, I'm probably going to start going to locals very soon, like, within the next month or so. You know, I play Rika Sun Avalon in the TCG, and I felt really bad when Dryas was, you know, limited, but, like, I didn't care that much because I can live with it, right? Unlike branded players, when Branded Fusion got limited, because, you know, I got told to go fuck myself once when someone asked me how I felt about the Branded Fusion limit, and I said I thought it was okay. Yeah, I can live with it, right? But, like, Master Duel does not feel like it's accomplishing anything. And it really sucks, because, like, I love Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very fun for me, right? But, like, when I've done things like stream remote duels and stuff like that, I don't know, people just don't care. They just don't watch it, right? It's strange. So, what I'm currently working on is I'm theory crafting ways that I can have fun in Yu-Gi-Oh! again. And, I mean, I'm open to any ideas. Don't suggest a masochist run, because that doesn't sound fun. I'm not a masochist. Sorry to inform you. I don't enjoy pain. If you do, by all means, you do that. But a masochist run doesn't sound fun to me. However, if you've made it to this point in the video, and you want to leave a comment about, like, hey, streamer man, try this, you'll have fun, by all means, go ahead. I just wanted to, you know, let everyone know why I've just sort of stopped streaming Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's what this video was. Hope you all enjoyed hearing my genuine thought process and my actual feelings. I'm not against streaming Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, I just need to find a way to have fun with it, you know? Because for me, like, even when I would do things like ranked, like, I'm a good player. You know, I've got wins over, you know, UDS champion Tyler Pfeiffer, right? I've gotten into actual arguments with community members when I said that I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that hard, and the response was, go win a locals, and I was like, I've won multiple locals. I've won more locals in the past 6 months than you've won in your whole career, including the last local I entered, where I went X01 with Rika Sun Avalon. Now, it was a while ago, it was before Snake Eyes rose to popularity, but, yeah. Like, it's not that I'm bad at the game. It never has been. I just feel like there's no creativity right now. And creativity is the part I have fun with. So, yeah. Like I said, if you have any suggestions on ways I can make Master Duel fun for myself again, leave them in the comments. I will gladly take any suggestions into consideration. Thank you all for watching, and I'm gonna catch you, I don't know, later.